Meeting to order. I'm going to call on Commissioner Marshall to lead us in the invocation and the pledge. Please stand. Remove your caps, please. Thank you.
Dear Lord, I'd like to thank you for this day that you blessed us with, a day that we've never seen before. We pray that we conduct the will of the people and that you have put in our hearts and desire and ultimately our will and policy to carry out. Dear Lord, we'd like to thank you for those who are here, those who are wanted to be here but can't be here. We'd like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to participate in our local government in a civil manner. We'd like to pray for our local leaders, our state leaders, and federal leaders. And dear Lord, I'd like to say a special prayer for the First Lady of our county, Ms. Cindy. I pray that you continue to bless and protect her and to give her the blessings that she may be in the need of. We'd like to thank you for all the people who came out tonight. We pray that they continue to participate in the local government even after today. All these blessings I ask in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Do we have any of the folks here with Leadership Lounge that's with us tonight? If you would, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, Commissioners, inside your packets, you'll find your minutes of the work session of January the 24th and your regular session minutes of January the 25th. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion that we approve the minutes for January 24th and January 25th.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a second? Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor would aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Hearing none, the motion carries. The minutes are approved. We'll move right into our public hearing items. Our first one is Agenda Item 5A. This is REZ 2022-1, Hamilton Green Townhomes on Bemis Road. It involves 7.32 acres. It is currently a PD, and we are considering a PD amendment, and this is served by county utilities. Mr. Dillard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. Again, this is a request to update a previously approved plan development site plan. This was for an 80-unit apartment complex. The applicant is requesting an update to the site plan to allow for an 80-unit townhome development. This is off Bemis Road. It's within a neighborhood activity center. Per comprehensive plan guidance, PD zoning is a recommended zoning within this character area. Again, we see this property has no water or wetlands on it for consideration that would inhibit this development. This was the previously approved site plan from 2016. You'll note the layout here. And this is the requested new site plan, north being to your right on this site plan as well. This meets all the requirements for a PD as far as open space, green space, buffering from the adjacent properties to the northeast, the residential section. It also allows for interconnectivity to the north for commercial and potential expansion to the south. Overall, staff found the request consistent with the growth trends in the area and the community goals of the comprehensive plan. The CRC also had no additional objectionable comments to this request, and the Planning Commission recommended approval by unanimous vote. Here's a rendering of one of the proposed elevations.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Dillard? Okay, hearing none, we'll move into the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this request? Yes, sir. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Zachary Tower, 109 West Adair Street. I'm here to speak on behalf of this project. This is a visual rendering of the townhouses that are proposed to be constructed in this location. This property was previously approved for 80 apartments. Our plan is for 80 townhouses, 1,500 square feet apiece, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. I think it fits the site. I can answer any questions anybody has, and we've got somebody here from the engineering side also if there's any questions there.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Carter.
Thanks, sir.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this request? Hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it over to you for your consideration.
Mr. Chairman, considering we're not increasing the density and we're we're just simply moving from an 80-unit low-income housing tax credit to townhomes, I move we approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the request. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Griner. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Okay. That was unanimous, so there are no one in opposition. So the motion is carried. We'll move on now to agenda item 5B. This is REZ 2022-02. It is for Justin Warren. It's located at 4128 Johnson Road. This involves 1.97 acres. It is currently R1. The request is for R21, and it will have well and septic. Mr. Dillard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, the request 1.97 acres in order to subdivide the property to be given to a family member for a single-family residential development. You see the R1 and R21 pattern in this area. It is within the suburban character area and urban service area. However, there are no county utilities nearby, thus facilitating the well and septic. Again, on the future map, it is clearly suburban. And there are no wetlands as well on this property, which would hinder any subdivision further. There are no objectionable comments, again, from the Technical Review Committee, and the Planning Commission ultimately heard this request, recommends approval by unanimous decision, and you can see here the proposed split of said property.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dillard. Any questions for Mr. Dillard? Okay, hearing none, we'll move into the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this request? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name's Justin Warren, 5130 Lanes Pond Road, Valdosta, Georgia. What we're doing is, we had a mobile home over here that my uncle stayed in. He passed away. We removed it 4 years ago. We took in a niece and just trying to give her a head start on life and giving her an acre to build a house. So that's pretty much it. And it has a septic tank already on it as well.
Okay. Any questions from Mr. Warren?
So, Mr. Warren, you're just selling her?
I'm just deeding it to her. Yes, sir.
Gifted.
Yes, sir. We had it surveyed out, and that's how we come up with that partiality there.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Warren. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this request? Hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it over to you for your consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the rezoning request.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the rezoning request. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. The request has been approved. Agenda item 5C is the REZ 2022-03 Windy Hill subdivision located at 7532 Miller Bridge Road. This involves 34 acres. It is currently EA. The request is for RA, and it has community well and septic. Mr. Dillard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, the request here from EA to RA in order to develop an 11-lot subdivision. Proposed lot sizes being 2.5 to 3.11 acres. It is within the rural service area and agricultural forestry character area. For comprehensive plan guidance, RA zoning is listed as recommended, while development strategy aims to maintain the rural character by limiting new development and promoting larger lot sizes. Median lot size of the surrounding properties within a 1 mile radius, it is within a groundwater recharge area, and there are a few wetlands touching the rear of the property. This is the proposed subdivision of the 11 lots. The 2 larger lots, being over 2.5 acres, are in the right-hand portion here, and there are stormwater facilities on site as shown. This graph, it's a little bit hard to see, but it represents a 1 mile radius of the properties around the subject property. There's 151 lots, 95 of which are 10 acres or less, and 6.6 is the median size for the lots. There is one parcel adjoining it across the street here, which is 300 plus acres, which slightly skewed the data and was excluded from that previous graph. However, the median lot size of 6.6 acres still stands. You also note here, this is a map of the opposition. Last time we had a petition that was signed by over 303 members. I do have that petition here, but this is the location of those signatories for your reference. The TRC did find the request consistent with the future land use character map, though inconsistent with the community goals and policies. And the development standards for lot width differ based on central versus public water system. Roughly 50 feet lot width minimum or 100 feet lot width for community water, 150 feet lot width for individual wells. The soils have not been evaluated by the Department of Public Health or EPD at this time for compatibility. Overall, the Planning Commission recommended denial by a split vote of 8-3.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Dillard?
Did you say this is private well and septic?
The proposal as it stands, as it was submitted, was for a community water system, but the lots are large enough to accommodate private wells, though the soil suitability has not been determined by the Department of Public Health at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question for Mr. Dillard? Okay. We'll now open up the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this request? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Don Powell. My address is 4705 Queensberry Way, Valdosta. I'd like to give you a little history that back in the 80s when I was developing subdivisions and when I got off into building some commercial buildings. We built, myself and Terry Kelly, we built the New Life Baptist Church on Cypress. I went to then Hal Davis, who was head of the Area Planning Commission, and he gave me one piece of advice. He said, if you try to do everything right, you'll never have any trouble with us. Now, we were rejected in December because we were given advice that it would be well to go with 1 1/4 acres. At the December meeting, it was suggested us we go back to go up to 2.5, which we did. We had it resurveyed, and there were some changes that we made. It's curb and gutter. It's paved. It will have a community water system, and there is a deep well there now that will be a backup system to the community water system. Last month, at the Area Planning Commission, the morning of the hearing, I was diagnosed with COVID, so I wasn't able to go to the hearing. I tried to get it delayed and set back, and we were told that they didn't have the authority to take it off the docket, so it went ahead and went through. We were not able to give our side of the presentation and what we have done to change it, which I think was not fair. But after the December meeting, and there was, like they said, it was 350 petitioners. 2.5 weeks after that meeting, I was approached by Remax Realty, the agent there, where part of this same group had made an offer to buy our property. And for what reason was they given? Because they wanted to develop it.
Please, no comments.
We restructured our plan and to address the septic tank issue because it's in a water recharge area. We're putting in a requirement that they be aerobic septic tanks, which the discharge is potable water. So there's very little bit of damage to any recharge. We've discovered that the groundwater recharge area is quite large. That area has Pecan Row, the landfill. It has Kennerloo. It has Foxborough. It has the airport. It has Moody Air Force Base. And it has Dasher and Lake Park. We have also discovered that within a 2-mile radius, there are already 4 subdivisions that are anywhere from 2 acres to 4 acres that have already been given the variances. One thing we'd like to point out that has never been pointed out, that the houses will be somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000 apiece, which will increase the tax base $70,000 to $100,000 a year. We've met all the requirements, and
Mr. Powell, you're just about out of time.
sure.
Jesse Bush, 2944 Dasher Johnson Road. I'm engineer for 12 Stones Engineering. I just wanted to say just one comment. You know, Mr. Powell has the ability to develop this subdivision regardless of EA or RA zoning. So I think primarily today, what we're talking about is we're not talking about the condition of the road. We're not talking about groundwater recharge area. We're not talking about whether or not the county can provide services to this community, because I believe in our county. I believe in the people that we have here. I believe in the office staff. I believe we have a good community that can provide services. The only question that we're talking about today is whether we're going to build a community that's got 6 homes in it, or whether we're going to build a community that's got 12 homes in it. So the question is whether or not Lowndes County can provide services to build an additional 6 homes in this place. It's not about rural versus residential or agricultural. These 2.5-acre lots, I grew up on a 2.5-acre lot. We had horses, we had pigs, we farmed. There was nothing about doing away with agriculture just because you live on a 2.5-acre lot. It's about having an opportunity for an additional 6 families to be able to build a tree house in their backyard, be able to throw a ball in their yard.
Gentlemen.
You'll hear that. Yes,
Okay, your time's up. I've given you an extra minute, which I will also give the other side an extra minute as
Thank
well.
you, sir. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone in the audience then that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Mr. Folsom, state your name and address for the record, please.
Brad Folsom, 2611 North Patterson, Valdosta. I'm here representing several neighbors, landowners, homeowners, who, as you saw on one of the slides that JD put up, are completely opposed to this. We've been here at the Planning Commission now twice, here at the County Commission once when this was pulled. And I'd ask all those folks, just so you can see, they're here to raise their hands at this time. You know, this property is within the agricultural, forestry, conservation character area, and that's not proposed to be changed in any fashion in the current revision to the plan. This zoning is permitted for sure, but it's not appropriate for several reasons. You know, other than along Highway 122 or in Hayhara, the only development anywhere near here is the Shallow Ridge development. And I handed up before the meeting started just a little graphic here that I think is important to note about Shiley Ridge, because it's been mentioned several times, both by staff and the applicant. You know, that's a 120-acre property with 12 lots planned. It has 34 and a half acres of home lots and 70 and a half acres of conservation area. And all of those lots, while they're 3-acre lots with the conservation area, staff pointed out the first time this matter came up that they're well over 6 acres on average when you pull in the conservation area. So I think that's very important that that 6 acres is recognized. The other thing I'd like to talk to you about, and staff put this in their report, and I can't really understand why, because it seems to support this application, and I don't, it's kind of out of character, and that is the property just to the north. They make mention that a quarter mile to the north, there is a rural residential character area and several lots. I believe it was in slide 2 of Mr. Dillard's presentation, if he can get that back in front of you. But when you look at all those lots, there's 25 parcels in there, and if you subtract out, there's a little area in there that's almost 3-acre lots that was one family, and it's mostly owned by that family now. It came out of an estate. But the other 25 parcels are 188 acres total, and they average 7.52 acres on average. So even though that's rural residential, these lots are big. Most of them are minimum 5 acres, many larger than that. So I think that's important for you to understand. You know, in general, development in this county, according to stated goals, should be near existing urban areas, as we've talked about, or on major roads, or where county services are or will be. Here, that's nowhere near. It's 3 to 4 miles to Hayhira, to, you know, the largest big development is the Creekside West development on 122. The applicant mentioned that this was in the groundwater recharge area. You know, there are increased requirements under the ULDC for that. There's been no mention of that in either the application nor the staff report, and development should be minimized in that area. In addition, there are water, drainage, and retention areas that have been brought before the county planning commission and also this body. You've heard from the GLPC at least has heard from adjacent property owners of how wet this tract is and how commonplace flooding is across Miller Bridge Road. I can't see how pavement, curb and guttering, and clearing all the trees are going to make that issue any better, even with drainage areas. Importantly, and the applicant brought this up, this is going to be a community water system. And personally, I've talked to every one of y'all, and every one of you have said to me, we don't want any more community water systems. So tonight, when you make that decision, I think you really need to think about that issue, because that can fall back on the county, as you know. And it's something that I've heard everybody say that ought to be a policy not to have those. So in summary, there's nothing similar about this to any other area. You know, there's no need to disturb existing land use and growth patterns. There's no need to make drainage and flooding worse. There's no need to build in a groundwater recharge area. There's no need to place a future burden on the county for a community water system. There's no need to approve this zoning. But there is a great need to listen to and understand the concerns of 350 residents who have all signed a petition, many of whom are here tonight, and are united that this should be opposed and the land use should stay the same in this area. So I would ask that you deny the rezoning on that basis. And I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions for Mr. Fulton? Okay, thank you, Mr. Fulton.
Thank you.
All right, we have another minute and 25 seconds. If there anyone else that would like to speak? Who's coming?
I knowed it was coming.
You have 1 minute.
1 minute. 1 minute to save the community.
Okay.
Be quick.
And quick. Spot zoning. That's what it is. Plain and clear. Where you reach out into the community and receive one spot in a rural community. We own 427 acres in that community. Been there over 100 years, the property has. This development will change and set the character of that community, and it will be a precedent that a generation can't overcome. It's happened in Valdale. It's happened everywhere. My 1 minute's about up, and if I was allowed, I can tell you about the character of this community. I've lived it. I'm a reciprocant of it. I owe this community a debt, and I intend to pay it. Thank you, and I'd like to end with one thing. Ecclesiastes. There's a time and place for everything. There's a time to die, weep, fight, and pray. And I pray you make the right decision. Thank
Okay,
you.
that's all. Mr. Redding, if you would, I didn't get you to actually.
State my name.
Your name and your address,
All
please.
right, Elton D. Redding, 7649 Webb Road.
Okay,
I
thank you, sir.
represent the Redding property. John L. Redding, my brother.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, I'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it over to you for your consideration.
Motion to deny.
Can we have a motion to deny the request?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Motion's unanimous. Request is denied. Please, we thank y'all, but please, we're gonna maintain order. Now, we're gonna finish the rest of our meeting. Y'all are welcome to stay with us, or you're welcome to leave as well. So we'll take a minute and let you leave. Yeah. I'm sure, I thought they were all here to.
I got good stuff in my report. No, I'm not that important.
We're gonna move your report to the front of the meeting. Okay, our next agenda item is agenda item 6A. It's the Transportation Investment Act for Local Project Delivery Application for Coleman Road Northwest. Mr. McLeod.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Coleman Road Northwest is on the Transportation Investment Act constrained list to start professional engineering in March of 2022. This application starts the process for Lowndes County to be able to manage the project and the procurement process at our level, at the local government level. If approved, GDOT will send an approval letter and an agreement to be approved.
Okay, any questions for Mr. McLeod? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the application, authorize the chairman to sign the application.
Do we have a motion to approve the application and authorization of signing? Do we have a second? We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 6B is the Transportation Investment Act Local Project Delivery Application for Kinderloo-Clyteville Road. Mr. McLeod.
Yes, sir, thank you. Kinderloo-Clyteville Road is also on the TIA constrained list to start design in August of 2022. This is the same application as the previous item, which will allow Lowndes County to manage the project and procurement process at the local government level.
Any questions for Mr. McLeod? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the application, authorize you to sign the application.
Okay, we have a motion and authorize the chairman to sign the application. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Agenda item 6C is the internal network firewalls. Mr. Costu, and before you get started, I really thought that everybody that was here to hear about your firewall, but I was mistaken. So I'm sorry that they're not that interested in your firewall.
Actually, I'm kind of happy that they're not, sir. It's a matter of security precedent, so we won't go into detail
There you
about it.
go.
That's great. Sir, this is a request for purchase of 2 internal firewalls. These firewalls will create a virtual air gap for certain crucial network devices.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Costi? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, Mr. Costu, your firewall has been approved.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay. Do we have any citizens wishing to be heard? None. I am excited about our county manager's report, so Ms. Dukes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome back again. Good evening, Commissioners. Several things for you this evening. First of all, I owe Ms. Megan Barwick and Ms. Belinda Lovern a tremendous debt of gratitude for all of their hard work and planning on the Bird Supper. It was a phenomenal event. You know, some things that you've done yourself for a long time, and you see someone else come in, it was time, because Ms. Barwick certainly did a much better job than I ever have with that. And she has also secured our date for next year, so that will be February the 1st. If you all will go ahead and mark your calendars, we are on track there. I think one of the things that was really good about this year was we were able to bring our local food here through Woodstack Barbecue with Randy DeCoudray and Justin Stevens. We got a lot of positive feedback from that, and they are also booked for next year. So we're excited to bring South Georgia to Atlanta. We've already discussed the $22.5 million in broadband grant that we received from the state through the ARPA funding. Very excited about that. I know that everyone's ready to get started. So Ms. Bowen is running point on that timeline for us. She has already reached out to the state. Before I could even ask the question, they are running 6 to 8 weeks out on the terms and conditions. So we'll have to get the terms and conditions in before we can move forward. That's kind of the next step in the process. Meanwhile, we're going to reach out to Windstream and start to develop a timeline so that as soon as we do get the information in from the state, that we can also start working with them. So we're not going to wait where that's concerned. We have received confirmation that our enabling legislation update bill has been introduced. Also, I'd like to thank Walter for all of his help on that. It really wasn't necessary for him to draft that legislation, but we did need someone to continue to encourage the Legislative Council in Atlanta to move forward, and Walter certainly did that, so thank you for that, Walter. The second Harvest DCA grant kickoff was this morning. We had the South Georgia Regional Commission there, DCA was there, Second Harvest was there, all of our staff that's part of that project was there. That, is a reminder, is $18 million and another ARPA fund that's coming here. This is going to relocate Second Harvest to the property along the interstate next to Martin's. So we are starting to move forward in that. So some of the things that we ironed out today is how we will handle payment and some timeline things. So we're on track with that grant as well. Ms. Barwick has worked with HR to coordinate a Valentine event for our employees on Friday, so they will be receiving a treat from all of you. We have the Leads Lunch tomorrow at 12 noon at the Conference Center, so thank you to everyone who's able to make that. Chad, do you have an update for us on Mud Swamp? I know that Commissioner Weisenbaker especially will be very interested.
Yes, ma'am. So since the commission approved us moving forward with Mud Swamp, the survey work for the plat has been completed. It was turned in to myself and Mr. Walter last week with the final revisions. So staff and Mr. Walter will be reviewing that and getting prepared the deeds for that project. In the meantime, we're also working on the where we are needing drainage easements, as well as building up the road with the engineer.
Thank you, Chad. And we have one more address point on Carter Way, and we will be doing staff's part of Carter Way and coming before you all for your guidance on moving forward with Carter Way as well. If any of you receive any calls, Chad and I actually went out and rode Carter Way yesterday with the rain that we have received. I think the chairman had gotten a call on that. It is currently public safety passable, but it's certainly not in an environment that's comfortable for those citizens to come in and out of there. So we will continue to work with them in the process there. Then the last thing that I have for you this evening is one of our utility employees that actually works for Mr. Stalvey. His name is Mark Holmes. His son is a Marine in the infantry, and he has been deployed to the Russia-Ukraine event. So please keep that family, Mr. Holmes and his son, in your thoughts and prayers. And I've asked him to get an address once they're set up enough that we can send packages and that we can send mail. I've asked them for an address there, so I will keep you all up to date on that. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Any comments? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.